All right, good evening, coaches. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is John Bronkhorst, and this is our monthly Power Spread RPO Coaches Zoom session. Very honored tonight to have Jason Phillips, the passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach at Alcorn State University. Coach Phillips is in his fourth year at Alcorn. Previously to that, he had coached at Mississippi Gulf Coast Junior College for 4 years as the offense coordinator, spent a year at Troy in 2013, and then also had a couple stops at the Division II level. He started out coaching high school football for 6 years in East Tennessee, which is where he's from. Coach Phillips and the offensive staff at Alcorn State have some pretty great stuff going on in regards to RPO game. I'm very excited, very honored to have him join us tonight. Coaches, I ask that you keep yourself muted throughout the invitation or the presentation. And if you have any questions, please submit them into the chat and I will get to them and ask them on your behalf. So without further ado, Coach Phillips, the floor is yours.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me. Very excited again to talk about some of the stuff that we're doing at Alcorn. If you don't know about Alcorn, just give you a quick one about that. We're here in the river in Mississippi between Vicksburg and Natchez. You guys kind of know where that's at. We're at FCS school in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I'm sure most of you will know it as Dion's conference. We're over here. Our head coach is Fred McNair. Steve McNair's older brother. He played here as well. We've won the last 2 conference championships. We're not playing this spring, didn't play last fall. So, we're excited to get back out there. And appreciate Coach having me on, talk about some RPOs. I'll try my best with the Zoom. I'm still not very good at it, even though after a year. So if I'm messing something up, scream at me, let me know. But I'll just jump right into it. And like I said, if you guys got questions, hit me up. I'll talk too much. You guys have my DV Sport? Does it say that on there?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
If I start lagging or anything goes crazy, just let me know. Takes just a second, apparently. Well, I kind of give you while this is loading, I'll give you the background. We've done this not just here. Like I said, I did it at junior college. That's one of the most common questions gets asked is, do you think you could do this at high school level, junior college level, things like that? Absolutely. I'd say you probably asked your kids to do some of these things already. And now it's just applying it and just have a little bit of trust and faith in them. Why is this not wanting to work on me now? I promise you, I tested this thing out several times. What? No, this is not really one of the rules for me. Well, this is not good.
You have to love the wonders of technology, don't you, Coach?
I'm telling you, man. I did this thing 3 times before I left today, and then twice already since I've been home. And this is the first time it's done this. All right, that looks good. That looks like that could be something. There we go. All right, so RPOs. Like I said, we've done this. I did this at my last school. We've just kind of brought it here and expanded on it some. And this is just kind of how we go. So we'll show this day one with quarterbacks and receivers and really just talking about through our process along with our staff. So the first thing about the RPOs and talking about this is I feel like you have to clearly define what your expectations are for everybody, okay? Because one big thing is we've all sat there, if you run some RPOs, you've had those times where the quarterback threw it and you look at the tight copy and A-gap's wide open and you're like, man, why did he throw it? We should have handed off. You know, and vice versa where it looks like we're going to be wide open out there and, man, why didn't you throw it? So our deal is we want to make sure that the expectations are as clearly defined as we can make it, okay? For us, that's going to mean that, you know, each package, and we have several, and really it's packages, it's different ways to read some of the same things. So each package has a clear expectation from staff to quarterback to the rest of the offense. There's a clear mentality of what we expect to happen and why we expect it to happen, all right? We feel like this leads to a lot clearer communication, not only between us as coaches, but along with our players as well. So we get more involved in what did you see instead of why did you do? And we allow that process to not only dictate corrections, but also what do we need to do next in terms of play calling? Okay, you know, progress through which package is needed, but also you know, we talk about play calling chains that we have. Tells us to progress through the next chain on the call list. Okay, our packages that we have what we call our access package. We have built-in run rules that, you know, depending on the run direction, you know, front side or back side, and how many there on the surface. We have base runs attached, okay? So there is a pass attached to every single run play. We treat those are true quick game throws. So like stops, outs, slants, anything that you would treat as a catch and throw in three-step rhythm in the gun, that's what we have in the access package, along with bubbles and things like that, okay? The next package we have is call it, talk, and activate. I think that's something that you guys have probably seen if you've seen some of the Coach Tube stuff that we put out, where the receivers and the quarterbacks are calling the routes, okay? So we'll get into that as well. Then we have something that's new for us, red and black rotation RPOs, which for us is the only true third level RPO that we have, and we'll get into that as well. But that's newer for us. We haven't had as much time with that without playing, so I don't really have any tape of it, but that's one we're really looking forward to. We also feel like it's important that you're going to have all these RPOs, you're going to have all these reads and these tags and all these good things, and it's going to be 3rd and 2, and you're going to have this RPO, and you're not going to want him to throw it. You're going to say, screw it. We're going to mentality. We're going to give it. We're going to get these 2 yards on the ground. So we feel like it's very important that we tell our quarterback that expectation when that's what we want. So we'll signal in the same thing. These RPOs, we'll go through the whole process and call routes, but it's also tagged with give. So he knows whatever happens, that ball better be handed off. Okay, so in our first package there, that access package, we treat this as an efficient RPO. So we are comfortable trading 5 yards on the handoff with 5 yards on the completion, and that being the extent of it. Okay, obviously we're going to want more and make a guy miss, but that's the base level expectation. We were comfortable trading off 5 for 5. Okay, structure of the defense allows the throw. We will take the throw. All right, and that that makes me think of there's old Bill Walsh deal that says 3-step game is built for structural deficiencies in the defense, and that's how we approach our access package. Where If they're leaving a guy uncovered or we have someone clearly out leveraged, it's a straight gimme, we'll take it. Okay, these are all stationary or short breaking routes. Like I said, stop routes, the 4-step out routes, slants, things of that nature. But again, going back to the expectation with a quarterback, we tell him in this package to err on the side of give. So if there's gray area, you're giving the football. Okay, we don't expect this to be thrown. When we've got a soft corner, we're going to throw that hitch. That outside linebacker overhang really triggers. We're going to throw the bubble. These are gimmies. Okay. What we're saying in this package is we're running the ball efficiently. We're expecting to get the ball in A gap. So if we call inside zone, we expect to get this ball in A gap, right? We're expecting the efficient run of whatever our scheme is. If we call power, we're expecting to get the ball kicked, good double team. We're going to get up and get inside out on the mic, and we're going to have a great A gap power play. Okay. That's the expectation that's what we all see happening here. Okay. If we do get a throw, we let our receivers know ahead of time, like in this package, in this access package, expect tough yards after catch. Again, it should go with your stationary or short breaking routes. If I'm catching a stop route, I expect to attack grass, get low, and get as much as I can. Turn 6 into 9. If I've got that speed cut out, expect to hug the sideline, do a sideline lift drill, and again, turn 6 into 9. All right, so that's as clear expectations as we can define it for this package. Now, once we get into the next package, this is the one where, again, we're calling the routes with the receivers, and we'll kind of get into that more in just a second. But these are our expectations. Whereas before we were taking structural deficiencies and we're saying we would trade our 5-yard carry for our 5-yard completion. In this package, we're thinking explosive plays, aggressive mindset. Okay. We're trying to take advantage of an overcompensation of the defense. Okay. One of the biggest things you hear those defensive guys saying is you won't throw a hitch all the way down the field. All right. You may be right, but I've not met a defensive coach yet that's going to play 6-on-6 in the box and let me run power for 5 a carry either. That doesn't exist. Okay. They're going to try to get that 7th or even 8th hat into the box. That overcompensation of the defense is what we want to attack with this package. Okay. We're calling this because we're running the ball and the defense is trying not to allow it. Okay. In this package, okay, if we're working to the specific side where we're calling the routes, all of those routes will be moving routes. Okay. Moving routes lead to greater yards after catch. And I can't remember who said it, but I saw it there today. I thought it was great. I'm as fast as our fastest receiver if my feet are stopped, So we want these guys to use athleticism and catch this ball on the move. Okay. Going back to the quarterback's mindset, I don't know if I skipped through it or not, but in the access package, again, it can be pre-snap. He can throw it out there if he's got the hitch, take it. He can put the ball in. If he gets big movement or big aggressive movement from the defense, he can take those. All right. In this package, we're always going to put the ball in his stomach. Okay. We term it as setting the hook. We're always going to set the hook. All right. And he's going to have an aggressive mindset with that. We're going to err on the side of throwing the ball. If it's gray, he's on the hair trigger. Okay. In our run play, we're calling this package when we're expecting same thing, going back to power. Now they're spilling the crap out of it. That Mike's tight exchanging. He's logging my guard, or he's spilling my guard, and that Will's getting over top, and they're forcing it to a 7th hat. Okay, all those gaps are going to be canceled, or we're getting some interior movement, some pressure, what have you, to take away that run. That's the expectation. So we're expecting the ball to bounce where you don't want it to. Split zone, we're expecting it to bounce behind the kick out. All right. we are going to now RPO the guy that the ball is getting spilled to. All right. We think in terms of that vice where whoever he's pushing it to, that's the guy we want to mess with. All right. We say big movements equal big throws. All right. And again, going back to the receivers in this, we want to catch the ball on the move. So we're attacking grass. We're not thinking necessarily get north and south. We're thinking about find a crease and hit it. We're trying to get explosive plays. All right. All right. So in the run game part of it, in these true RPO deals right here, we'll have a few that we'll leave at end, but those are really in the access package where we know a guy's squeezing. Or if we're getting four eyes, things like that. If we're truly going to read a second level guy, we're going to make sure we're protected from C gap to C gap, all right, and treat it along with our protection. We really don't want our quarterback. He's really good. We don't want him taking a bunch of shots because we want to get greedy. So we're always going to protect him from C gap to C gap. All right.
Hey, Coach, we do have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
When it comes to your run game, how come you just don't call the run and not tag the perimeter when you want to hand off on 3rd and 2?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
How come you just don't call the run and not tag the perimeter when you want to hand off on 3rd and 2?
Because a lot of the times it's built in. Like we don't have, like I said, there's a throw built into every run. There's a few certain types of runs, but like a wrong way run or something like that, where it's a quarterback run, where there's not necessarily a pass built in. But if we just call split zone, there's a pass somewhere. All right. We want to take out of his hands the decision-making process. Now, again, if you guys are cool with that, like if it's 3rd and 2 and you're cool with him throwing that hitch or that slant, roll with it. There's times where our head coach is going to look down at us and say, just give the damn ball. And we're going to make sure that we give the ball off. That's the purpose we have for the give tag. All right. And it'll allow you to do some different things too. Like we won't just use it in the RPO. We'll call straight pass routes. Like we'll call some of our deep choice stuff to get, especially like 3-by-1, and that backside safety is really trying to get over across to number 3 and pull him out of the fit, and then we'll run outside zone to him. But that gives us a chance to get pass routes to get these defensive guys moving and match coverage, and go ahead and remove them and take pressure off the quarterback. Just give the ball, and we know what we're getting. But that's, and honestly, the main purpose that happened was before I got here, and I think it was 2017, it was a situation like that where it's 3rd and 1, the hitch is built in, the quarterback raises up and throws it, or 4th and 1, I'm sorry, the quarterback raises up and throws it, they break the pass up, game's over, lose like 10-7 or something like that. So that was the overriding thing, is if I want the ball handed off, no questions about it, ball's handed off. So like, and how we call plays, like if we just call 22 inside zone, the passes are built in.
All right. Good deal. Like I said, I try to ask these questions when they pop up. I appreciate you taking that moment. So
yeah, anytime. Yeah, stop me, because like I said, I'll start rambling.
Oh, no worries at all.
All right. So in our runs that we use with this, inside zone, and our O-line guy, we turn his inside zone. So if like 11 personnel, so if the tight end, most time it's going to be in a Y off. If he's off the ball, staying on the same side, we just call that inside zone. If he's split flowing, split zone, zone insert, same thing, where we're running zone left, he's going to insert on the right from the same side of his alignment. And if we split ISO, obviously power and counter, and then duo as well. For us, at power and counter, can get a little bit tricky of which package we want to use with it, just from that backside B gap, because, we're blocking 6-on-6, but we're not necessarily protected C gap to C gap with that hinge where he's accounting for B to C on that gap. So we do a few different things right there, and we also look for a few things in front before we will attach that run with an RPO, or at least certain types of RPOs. Our backfield actions, we will get in the pistol. That's where we're going to start from going forward. We're going to start in the pistol. We'll get in the gun, and we will run these as same side gun runs, which has been good to us against certain looks. All right, so this is really the whole, starting point, and we can't really get going without this right here. We're a point team. We're an ID team. So the center is going to ID every play. All right, he's gonna label the line 3 down, 4 down, 5 down, or junk, and then ID a linebacker. All right, and we do that because it's going to correspond with who the quarterback's reading. Okay, this going to this system, as far as the point system and having an account system in our zone, has allowed us to keep it really consistent. Ties into protections, runs, hots. The quarterback now knows not only an RPO game, who he's reading in RPOs. They will correspond a lot of times in our protection with who he's hot off of. Our center is going to verbally say, they'll say 3 down, 54 is the point. Okay, we're trying to get away from actually pointing at the guy, just because that's a tell. A lot of times, really in pass pro, to know where your slide is and all that stuff. So we're trying to just say it. Okay, so there's a big long process, especially now. This is one of the first things we've been working on is making sure this is right at a point, and making sure everybody's communicated it the right way. He's going to make that point, and then they'll go into their line calls, which is probably not any different than what you guys have with his own line calls. One thing they will know is that they are never going to block the 7th fitter. So now we know who that is. So that guy that maybe walks up on the line, that if you're in that 5-2 bear look, that guy that walks up in the line behind it, they know I'm not accounting for that guy. So the point has really got us all on the same page in terms of who we're going to and who we're reading. And that way we're not ever, to me, the worst thing you can do is I'm going to go block a guy and I'm reading the guy. Well, what's the purpose of that? One's in conflict. So we always want to make sure that we're reading a guy that we're not accounted for blocking wise. Okay. And in terms of that point, the quarterback is going to be responsible for the first pass to point. So, and I'll kind of show you some pictures of that, and the second behind the point. Okay, so this is just a picture of it. So here he would come, and all he's going to say is 4 down, and this is just going to be zone right. That tight end's going to stay where he's at, and it's going to be split zone. All right, so he'll say 4 down, and he's going to point that guy that's circled right there. Okay, so from there, our quarterback will know, we say 2 behind the point because we're counting for the 6th, okay? If we do get into some 10 personnel, which we don't a whole lot, he will know he's got the first behind the point because we do not have that tied in to account for the numbers. All right, so that allows him to have second behind the point. So he will ID those guys off of who that is. Okay. We get a 3 down front. He's going to say 3 down. Now, 3 down, to keep it consistent for that guy where it's 1 passed and 2 behind, we're going to have 2 IDs. All right. So here he would say 3 down or bear. He would say 3 down, and he's going to point both of these guys as our IDs. All right. And what we count that for is when you ID 2 of them, you're basically saying who the 4th down guy is, as well as the play side linebacker. All right. So in this picture, which I'm sure you guys probably would see this a lot. I know I did back in the day. 5-2 bear. All right. So when he points these 2 guys that are circled, that's just going to let everybody know those are the guys that we're accounted for. Okay. That allows his tight end to know he's got first behind the point if he's working in a double team. So our quarterback should know that this guy right here is unaccounted for. Okay. And now we'll get into our read system that we'll talk about here in just a second. Okay. But that guy is technically, we would call him, he is number 7. So if we're communicating that on the sideline and if I'm talking about it from the press box to whoever, we're going to say number 7 was on the line of scrimmage, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's how we're talking. That's that guy's designation in our offense. All right. Yeah, 3-3 stack. Okay, so again, we'll just come up and we don't really designate it any different. We're just going to say 3 down. He's going to point these 2 guys right there. Okay, so this is zone right, basically the same run play we just had. And they're going to know the same count where he's going to work out, responsible for him. We'll work up, we'll shuffle up to the gap, and he would kick out number 6. All right, so knowing that these other 2 cats that are in the picture that are probably going to be number 7, if that guy was to, this safety that you can kind of see, if he was to walk up here right beside him, we're not touching him. All right, that's the quarterback's guy. That's his job to handle it, and we give him tools to do so. So that's how we're identifying who number 7 is. Okay, and then I'm sure we all see them from week to week, especially these junk fronts. And what this does is, I mean, these guys could go anywhere, man. You know, this isn't necessarily the easiest defense to go. They can go anywhere as long as he gets the point correct. Okay, as long as he gets the point correct. If he treats these guys as down linemen and says that this is bear or 5 down or jump front and points this guy, that's going to get our quarterback on the right guys he needs to read. It's going to get a hat on hat of the most dangerous fellas, and we're going to be able to throw off of who we need to throw off of. Okay, so that point is really extremely important to us. Okay, so if we're defining who number 7 is, okay, for a lot of us, number 7 is going to be that boundary safety, all right, in this overhang or apex. Now, what we don't do, if we're coming out here and we're throwing whatever RPO we've got, we're not going to tell this guy to read the overhang or read the first guy inside number 2 or whatever, because a lot of times they can line up just like this. At least this is what we're starting to see a bunch of, where this guy can kind of hang out here and take your throwaway. He's going to give it, and here comes this guy right here adding onto the box, and that's the conflict guy. That's the guy we need to be RPOing. So we don't tell him who he's throwing off of. He doesn't know who the read is. The defense is going to tell us who the conflict guy is. So we talk about in terms of the first guy that can make a play, and we define these as lanes. So like this top of the numbers to the sideline is lane 1. This hash to top of numbers lane 2. All right, same thing across the field. And then we got between the hashes is the middle. The guy that can get to that apex point the quickest is going to be number 7. All right. And we'll talk a little bit about how that goes here in just a second too. All right, so here's kind of the inverse of that, where now the nickel, the outside linebacker, is number 7. Okay, so here's our point. This boundary safety would be first passed. All right, and this overhang would be 2 behind. All right, so those are our number 7s. So he's responsible for making sure that neither one of these guys adds on to the run. Okay, so here's a look where it would be the field safety. All right, and this boundary corner. So if we're getting a corner crash, or if they're playing the cut corners in cloud, we train a lot of these looks where if you get in our league and we're playing Southern Miss right here, and this safety lines up on, this logo right here, Conference USA for them, it's a big tell for us. It's a big indicator. If this boundary safety gets to the logo, this guy's going to be at least at worst a hard corner, if not a crash and corner blitz. All right, and again, if you get down in here and you get in this situation, there's our point. There's first pass. There's 2 behind. They're both threats. If both number 7s are threats to the run, if they're both second level players, you've got yourself an 8-man box, and we got to do some different things. Okay, we'll kind of get to that with some of the options that we'll give a kid here in just a minute. All right, so that's number 7. That's the point. Like, that's the crux of it. Like, that's the quarterback and O lineman. That's that core working together. Is there any questions on that? I'm sure some of you may do something similar to that.
We do have one question. How is your terminology set up so you can mix concepts with your different backfield variations?
Okay, so like if we're in the pistol, the quarterback can actually open wherever he wants. He can open either way. So if we're on the pistol, he can tap which side he needs to read, whichever number 7 is most dangerous. Because for us, he's giving the midline, he's getting downhill in A gap, the reads don't change. The ones that maybe just get a little bit different with the footwork is if we're running a same side zone. And I would tell you that same side zone would act a lot like your same side power footwork. Okay, so if we were running zone right and kept him on the right in this picture right here, these guys would look a lot like power, and he's still going to have this in his vision. Okay, we're working more on having that back on the right and RPO and the guy on the left. It just takes a lot of work, and we'll see how good we can get at it. If we don't, we just don't, because for us, the pistol's gonna take care of most of that stuff anyways, or we hope. Because one big thing that we see, and I don't know how much you guys are seeing as well, is this probably isn't the best picture, probably that one, is this side away from the running back is going to be your fast flow side, and the side to the running back is going to be your slow side, where they're trying to hang in RPO windows, where this guy's trying to force and be number 7. We just got to make sure we do enough of this backs over here where we can RPO and read these guys. And again, for us, the easiest way is we're going to get in the pistol, especially with a lot of our A-gap type runs.
All right, so do you have default attachments with every run, or does it change from game to game?
In the access package, we have default. Okay, so default routes, default run game, everything is just kind of like, it would be your base package day 1 install. Okay, now when we go into these routes, and you'll see kind of what we're talking about in the call it, talk, and activate, where the receivers are calling it. We have the same routes we start spring practice on this coming Tuesday, and hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be back in the bowl game in December, and those routes aren't going to change. Like, our routes won't change from day 1 spring practice to December. They haven't changed in 2 years, going on, I guess, 2 seasons going on a third. Now, how we package them when we call them, we try to make sure we have enough control over that so we can get what we want when we want it and take advantage of what we're seeing. But I would tell you that once this is in, this whole RPO package that we're talking about between the access and then the call it stuff, is we can carry that in any game. Now it's just picking which runs we want.
All right, and last question. If your D-gap alignment is telling you who to read, how do you know what RPO to call?
I'll get with you in just a second on that one. That's what these next few are. As far as like, okay, if you're saying who my number 7 is, like that guy right there is number 7, what route do I call?
I believe that's what he's asking.
Okay, we're about to get into that one.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll talk about the 2-man side first, okay? So when I started this a few years back in junior college, I had them coming. They were giving routes from both sides, and that just kind of seemed overwhelming. We kind of got away from it. So we have packages where he's only going to get routes called from one side, and the other side is going to have a stock-based route, okay? Not saying he can't throw it on either side. He just can't. He's just not going to get routes from both sides, okay? So when we say call it, it's only going to come from the 2-receiver surface, okay? So the inside receiver on a 2-receiver side, he's going to call the route based off the coverage, look, or triangle, okay? The single receiver, the guy on the other side of the call it, he's going to have an access route. For that's either a hitch or go. Can you run a hitch and get tackled for 6? If you can't, run a fade, all right? The only thing we alert in that access route It's if you don't win in 5 yards, we're predetermined, like we're looking for that back shoulder and the access route, okay? The wide receiver that's calling the route is going to have to communicate it both to the quarterback and to the outside receiver, okay? Big thing on that one is, like, I know a lot of people talk about the communication. We use signals. Again, there's other people that are doing this stuff that you guys watch on TV that you probably don't even realize they're signaling it. I mean, it's below the waist. It could be, if my arm's straight, I'm going straight. If my arm's bent, I'm breaking out. I mean, it could be really, really easy stuff. We just try to make sure we know we're going to have to change it up throughout the season. Our film guy is going to catch it at some point of us giving signals, and we're going to have to change it. So we're cool with that. We actually let the kids kind of, whatever they're going to remember, we let them come up with a lot of it. We just ask we keep it discreet, nothing big and boisterous. We try to keep everything signaling below the waist as much as we can. All right, so here's the quarterback's, what he's looking at in this, okay? We know he's responsible for the 7th defender on both sides. So if he's in the pistol, he's going to tap whichever side he wants to open so he can see the number 7 that he views as most dangerous. All right. I'm a big believer in keeping a uniform process. And if we talked about the deep choice stuff and just really any of our passing game, just straight drop back, this is going to be the same process that he goes through in RPO as well. Okay. So our first look is going to be at the weak side safety. So we're saying if that guy is a throw read, meaning he's a immediate threat to the run, the ball's got to be thrown. Okay. We're not saying it's got to necessarily be thrown to that single receiver, but we're saying that ball's got to have to get out. Okay. Again, we would like to take the access. That's the easiest thing if he's over there, but if not, we can go to the 2 receiver side. Once he's cleared that boundary safety, he's going to identify, who number 7 is to the field, to the strength. And if he's a throw read, we want to throw the strong route. Now, one thing we do is we don't give him, like, if his shoulders turn or if he takes X amount of steps. We tell the guy, the quarterback, we want to run the ball for 6 yards a carry. That would leave the FCS if we did it. And we want to, that's our landmark, is if we hand the ball off for 6 yards, if we can, then hand the ball off, okay? So any movement he deems as a big enough movement to take that away, pull the ball and throw it, okay? And again, we've established that expectation in this package that we're a little bit, we're hair trigger, we're err on the side of let's be aggressive and throw the ball. Whereas that same look where we're getting a throw in this package, we may not get a throw in the access package, okay? So we're trying to define that as clearly as we can. And there you go. So give, ball can be run for 6 yards or more. Throw, ball can be tackled for less than 6 yards by our number 7, okay? He's, obviously, if the guard falls down or trips and the D tackle makes the play, it is what it is. That happens for everybody. But if that number 7's in a position where he can tackle the ball for 6 yards or less, then we need to get the ball out of our hands, okay? An abort situation, that one where we had the bear look, the 5-2 bear look, okay? That's a situation where his 7's on the line of scrimmage. And we say if he's an immediate threat, he's on the line of scrimmage, he can cancel the run play out and send the back that way and go say, hey, go block number 7, go block this guy. And we're just turning into straight pass. He can also read that number 7 like he would if it was zone read and he's the D end. He has a couple options right there on how he treats that line of scrimmage number 7. But he knows, and again, that's a process that, like anything else with this, but once he understands who his guy is, hell, my guy's on the line of scrimmage, I have to take care of that problem. All right, so we use several things to help our receivers identify this coverage. All right, the first thing is when we're going to call the routes, we want to widen our splits. Okay, we feel like that wider split, especially to the field, there's only so many ways you can get that 3/2 look and how they're going to play it. Okay, some of the tools that we use, I think we've all heard. We're talking about safeties. We're talking about the shell. Okay, so this is kind of how we define shell. Stagger, so the safeties alignment relationship to each other and or the hash. Okay, so if they're both inside the hash, for us, that's going to mean rotation. A lot of times off wherever the tight end goes. If a stagger could be with, one's higher, one's on different levels, or on the same levels. He's 2 yards inside the hash. He's 2 yards outside the hash. So we're looking a lot at those safeties to determine what we need to call. Okay, how deep he is. We tell our guys a lot that their height will give them away a lot of times. So if you sat in my meeting room today, I would ask you, why is that safety right there? Why did he line up at 15 yards this time instead of 12? And they're all going to tell you in unison to get over top of number 1, so we know it's a cloud corner. Okay, so we're training these things right here with them. Like I said, they are going to know these things for responses from day one. Where's the safety's eyes? Is he relating to me? Is he relating to the quarterback playing post safety? What's his leverage? Is he relationship to me or the D end? Okay, so like if I'm a single receiver and that boundary safety is getting towards that logo and he's outside of a defensive end, he's no longer responsible for an interior gap, or could be responsible for an interior gap. It's more likely that he's going to play over top of me, and that corner can be hard. Okay, so we look about the same thing if I'm the inside receiver, and if that field safety, if I'm outside the hash and he's outside of me, well, he's outside of me, so he can go over top of number 1. Okay, so what's his relationship to me? And if I'm a single, what's his relationship to the defensive end? All right, and then we talk about his lean. Well, what's his body language? It could be as simple as if he's got his inside foot back, he's rolling to the post. If he's got his outside foot back, he's kicking off the hash. If he's got chest, if he's got his weights over his toes, he could be spinning down. If he's more straight up and down, could be getting some depth. All right. Now, are they going to do that every time? No, obviously not. But they're going to pull one of those things for a given week to say, all right, when he's in this stagger, when he's at this height, if his eyes are here, like we're going to talk about these things in a given week in film study, so they're going to have a pretty good idea of what they're seeing. Okay. We try to do most of our things off safeties just because corners are liars. So we use corners. We have to, God dang, I'm drawing a blank. We have to verify a corner with our safety, okay? Because that corner can tell you a few different things. All right, so we use Delta. All right, Delta, if you've ever been to Mississippi, the Delta's up in the corner in the middle of nowhere. That's what these guys are, okay? So we talk about the Delta. What's their depth? And that's for us how we talk about the access, or that 5-yard, 6-yard landmark right there of being hard or soft. Where are his eyes? Are they on me? Are they on the quarterback? What's his leverage? Is he inside? Is he outside leverage? And that talks to us a lot about where his help is as well. What's his tilt or his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage? That could tell you either man or that he's got safety help over top. If his ass is turned to the sideline, he's doing it to shuffle and get out of there, okay? And then we talk about awareness is who is he communicating with? Is he talking to a safety? Is he talking to a linebacker? What are they talking about? If he's not talking to anybody and he's looking at me, good chance he's got me, okay? So that's a little bit of how we identify what's going on right there in the secondary. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So far, the chat's clear on that.
Awesome, cool. Okay, so we kind of get into some of the routes now. So like I said, our inside guy is going to call it. So he's looking at, once we define who number 7 is, it's these 2 yellow shaded characters right here, we tell these guys they just don't even exist anymore. So now I'm going out there, and it's as simple as, if I'm the inside receiver, is the safety high enough or outside enough where I can get inside of them? If the answer is yes, I want to go inside. Okay. At the beginning of this, that's all it was. When I first started, it was just in or out, based off that safety's leverage. Okay. So here we're seeing cloud, and again, our kind of our landmarks. If he's outside of number 2, we're saying he's doing it to be over top of 1. If he's higher, and I feel like I can get inside of him, let's get inside of him. We really, part of this is we kept throwing. This is a great route for us. I'll show it to you in just a couple clips. But we would throw this a bunch, and we would initially just call this 23 boss Z cruise and just tag this guy's route. And we would throw it once, and it'd be great. And then we'd call it again, and that safety would be sitting at 8 yards inside leverage. The quarterback's getting a pull to throw it read from that nickel Sam. He's throwing it in there, and that ball, the Z's getting killed. The ball's going up. It's a great RPO with a terrible route. Okay. So what we found is, when we call these things at the right time, yeah, it's going to be really good. Okay. So when we call cruise, the one's going to have 5 yards and in, just to follow that in case that nickel were to retrace, or, in the event that we get fooled and that safety crashes and we can't throw these in the window, the quarterback has an outlet. Okay. And then the single receiver's got the set access. So let's say that we'll tell a quarterback especially, that if that number 7, that Sam, and that field safety are both outside the hash, they're no threat. So let's not read those guys. If we want to read that boundary safety, we can. All right. All right, so just a clip of that. Okay, so again, we're getting that kind of 2 read type deal. We talked about these corners. There's his leverage, his tilt, his ass to the sideline. He's going to be getting some depth. His safety, he's straight up and down. His foot's outside. He's ready to kick. He's higher than 10 right there, almost a 13. This kid is thinking he's going to get some depth, and I can get inside of him, so I'm going to call the cruise. All right, now for the cruise, we're going to run it off this outside linebacker. So a lot of people will run these 5-step and glance type situation. We are going to base it off of this guy. So it's going to be a little bit of a tempoed release. And as soon as he feels like that number 7 is going to trigger, now I'm going to trigger. So there's no real depth to the route. Okay. It's just as soon as you hit the same level as number 7, wrap to the sweet spot, and don't be flat to the mic, and don't be high to the safety. Find the happy middle. All right. Again, so big movement from that nickel. That's enough. Okay. That's, like I said, and defining the packages. If this was an access package, I think you probably would have handed the ball off, right? Instead, he gets it. We're in a position to split safeties. We called RPO at the right time and called the right RPO route at the right time. And there's a big one, I guess. He probably should have seen this corner coming down here and not got past it. We could have thrown through it. Worked out okay. All right, so here's a good one for you O-line guys in the building. Obviously, this goes in scores. I know all the O-line guys, you just watched that running back go untouched through A-gap. That's all you guys saw. This is part of us defining that expectation, okay? And there, you can kind of see it right there where they're signaling back and forth to each other. That's why we got to change him for the film guy. All right. But again, we see this run, and you're like, oh, God, why'd he throw it? This is the expectation of the play. We've talked about if we're in this call-it package, if we get enough movement, we're aggressive to the throw. And it led to a lot of these explosive plays. Now, he may have scored running it, but I know this kid's going to score catching it.
Question for you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever played around with running the Z cruise like slot choice?
I will. Yeah. Yes. We're going to. We are going to in a couple different ways. and it's actually, I think, in this, so I'll get with that one. Hopefully we'll hit it. Against a certain type of look, yes, we will. And then we talk about that rotation, the red and black stuff. That's going to come actually off more outside runs. Yes, we will. All right. So, and again, the big deal for this package is we want to be explosive. So all the routes are kind of, we want to catch them on the move. And now, I won't show you just all the perfect ones. Like he's going to call the wrong route right there. Obviously, that safety's coming down. They've called cruise right here. He just knows I've got to get flat because this guy's trigger, you can see him turning the look. It's going to get there a little bit quicker. If we can get across his face, awesome. He's also going to have the number 1 coming with him. I think this is probably a little bit more of not necessarily good defense as opposed to us making a good play. But we do have options out here in the call outside. And as long as we feel like we can get this guy inside and we're catching that ball on the run, we feel like good things are going to happen. Big thing here is, and again, how it goes back to, is our tight end right here. A lot of times you see this guy would fold in here. He's aware that that's number 7. So don't touch him. Now, we may get him right here in this insert, but that tight end is not going to get wasted, and we're not going to have a down lineman untouched. Okay, so that's a part of our count scheme. So if we were counting this in the gap and the power, this would be our point. Okay, so he would be our point. This outside linebacker that's blitzing right there, he's our number 7 big movement. Okay, over here on this backside, with it being 2 behind, it would be this safety would be number 7 if we're talking gap scheme. Okay, so they just kind of exchange right there. Hit that thing on the run. Good stuff. And again, we'll use this anywhere. So you can see some coming off right there. We're backed up. And I get this is a good picture right here of these guys signaling back and forth to each other. Again, that's probably got we ready to change signals. We'll change them at halftime. We'll change them on the sideline between series. It's not a big deal, especially when they're the ones dealing with it. Another good picture of our tight end right here, understanding who number 7 is. They get this 4-eye. Instead of him coming out here, and if we hand this ball off, this linebacker's unblocked, he's going to wrap up here and get to the count. Okay. He knows that quarterback's got that guy. Again, you see a quick trigger right there. We want to wrap when he wraps. Get inside of him, get explosive. Bad ball security, but good play. All right, you see those guys communicating again. That's a good look at it. Low, below the waist. Big thing that we run into, like we watch Ohio State, okay? And every time that the kid puts his hands up at quarterback, the ball's getting snapped. And you watch everybody just roll into their blitzes, and never get their feet stopped. Our guy, we feel like he's got to do a great job with his hands of setting the defense. If you used to, coach it under center, you put your hands under center, you can snap the ball. For us, we know that, that ball can't get snapped until his hands are up. So get your hands up early, put them up, down, be a little bit of an actor, get that defense to move. All right, a couple more. Those are all the same. Yeah, those are all the same. There's a guard getting smoked. Good thing he pulled it. All right, so that's if we get cover 2, if we're getting a cloud look, or if that safety for whatever reason is playing with a lot of depth. We want to try, if we feel like number 2, we can get inside, let's get inside, okay? Now, if we get the quarters look or the palms look, or we just out leverage these guys, RZ is lined up and both the number 7 and the safety or whoever that is, they're both inside of us. We're just going to run a bubble. Now that bubble can depend on our split. Again, we want to be wide. This year, we're going to be out here wide, and we'll run one of those bubbles like you see Baylor used to run, where we're taking a couple steps up the field, reading the corner, and bailing out. We're kind of putting that out route and a bubble together. But anytime we've got these guys out leveraged, let's not make it complicated. Let's get the ball outside of them and force that safety or someone to make that tackle inside out. So if we get, like I said, if we're just out leveraged, let's stay there. All right, so like right here, he's got, if we're running, what's that say right there? 23 something here. I run 23. Here's the point. There's two behind. He's inside of me. Safety's inside of me. I've got these guys out leveraged. My split needs to be a little bit wider. He's too tight right there. But let's stay outside of him, okay? So we feel like if we throw bubbles where we're already outside of them and get them in chase, we feel like we're in a great spot. Now, we're also going to do a good job. We throw a lot of bubbles. We score points off bubbles. We're going to have, actually starting next week, we're going to work this drill and stretch this vise and stretch as far as you can and make that guy make all that space. You know, and that was one of our things, like, you know, if you're looking for some crazy routes, we ain't got them. We're just trying to call the high percentage routes at the right time. And again, I mean, you're going to look at it and be like, hell yeah, that's awesome. That's, of course, the bubble's going to work. We just want to make sure we're getting it called at the right time. Again, number 7, we're running counter here to the right. So here's our point. There's 2 back. And number 7's inside, and the safety's inside. I got him out leverage. Let's take it, man. Do a great job blocking on the perimeter. If he's going to let you stick his head inside, get outside. All right. So now those are really our main 2 high looks. Okay. That's what we're trying to get against the 2 highs. Now we talk about 1 high, which is what everybody's going to try to get to. Gosh dang it. That's what everybody's going to try to get to stop your RPO anyway. So this is killing me. I told you I wasn't any good at this. All right. So we talk about not necessarily in terms of man, zone, whatever. We talk about rotation. Rotation to us or rotation away from us. So if this safety's creeping, we've all seen it where they're getting, you know, number 7 is identified and that safety's creeping. We call it having 2 together. So if we have 2 together, we're going to have what we call arrow. It's a 5-step glance, and we're going to bubble and turn it into a will. All right. We want to throw this in the rotation. What we will tell you with this one as well is if we get a 2 together look, if we get rotation to us, then we also need to point this outside linebacker to alert for some blitz. Okay. Now we know if that safety's stepping down inside of him, that's a different story. All right. So here we get 2 together. And again, we don't talk about man or zone. That's just 2 together, rotation to us. All right. So we get the arrow call. You know, if he squeezes it just a hair, we may score a touchdown. He's, I think, our outside guy. This is supposed to be 5 steps. He's short. But again, we're throwing, again, slant bubble, but we're just making sure we're throwing against rotation instead of cloud or quarters or 2 read. These guys are just calling that on the field and letting them run. All right. So again, there's a look of, you know, we talk about our receivers calling it. Okay. The quarterback still has final say. So you'll see here, hands up early. They're calling it. All right. They're getting this thing called. He sees spin down. You see he's going to change it afterwards. All right. So he's got final say. All right. So getting 3-3 stack. These 2 are the point. This guy right there is our tight end guy. That puts the guy, the safety step down right there in that buzz look. That puts him as our number 7. That's rotation to us. Our safety that we're calling the route off of steps down to us, rotation at us. Let's call our slant bubble. All right, not a great route. Probably should have progressed on to the wheel and put it on his back shoulder. We see a step down. There's the change. Again, that's us trying to put him in the best situation we can. I just got to coach up these goddamn glances a little bit better. Same thing, safety step down. Good look right here at our tight end, seeing that step down, and we're working that out right. Staying in the count. Here comes number 7 rolling to us. We got a good little play, dropped the snap, but I mean, I think we'll live with our chances. Slant bubble against rotation. We just got to do a better job staying flat. All right, so this is kind of our answer that we were talking about. Someone said about the slot choice earlier. I don't know how much you guys are seeing, or gosh dang it. If that safety starts being in the fit and they start walking this outside linebacker out there with us, either to play man, inside leverage, outside leverage, doesn't matter. If this safety is the fit, this is the deepest RPO route we're going to have. We're going to call it a skinny. And it's actually going to be 7 steps. So he's got to get off the ball haul and tail and take it skinny where he never crosses his hash. So we're trying to get this a little bit vertical. We want to stay more vertical because the fit is coming from higher. So we feel like our route has to be coming from higher. This one has a better chance of getting to be a true high-low read right here with this outside guy, depending on how that outside linebacker plays it. Again, we talk about rotation. For us, that rotation, that safety that I'm calling my route off of goes to the post. That's rotation away. In our league, for the most part, if that happens, it's going to be man. It's going to be man free. Now we're going to be wide enough where that's going to be more. That's not a very good drawing. Is we're going to stay more vertical since we're already out here wide enough, and that could turn into a seam throw if that corner is getting over top of him. So we're just running a slot fade with that hitch is kind of our version of getting the smash. And we, again, if that post safety, if that safety of the field, if he gets to be a post safety in our league, most of the time that's going to be man free. All right, that's the two receiver side right there. Is there any questions on that one?
They do have one question: is what is the depth or steps for the outside receiver on your cruise route?
He's 5 yards and in on the outside. So if we have both the cruise and the skinny, we kind of group together. So if number 2 is going in, number 1 is going to have a 5-yard in. Just a thin route. If number 2 is going out and number 1 has a route, he's going to have a 5-step route.
And we got 15, 20 minutes, Coach.
All right. Single receiver side, this is our talk side. So again, this is just the same 11 personnel looks now that the single receiver is calling it. Okay. The 2 receiver backside will have stop routes. They're locked in. They can't do anything else. We will mess with that some and have it be a bubble from time to time as well. Same procedure. He's responsible for signaling to the quarterback. Signal below the waist. All those are the same. Same process for the quarterback, identifying 7, starting weak, going to strong. All those steps right there are the same. Okay. Same communication, same deal right there as far as give throw. Same if your number 7's on the line of scrimmage to abort or to read him like a defensive end. All that's just it's literally the exact same. All right. So when we're starting to talk, we want our single receiver he's going to run that 5-step skinny, that 5-step glance. Until he can't. So even if this guy is pressed down here, he's going to run that glance. What we tell him is if that the corner's outside foot crosses, or if it's even or crosses our inside foot, now I can't get in there. Any other look, I want to get inside and run the glance. Okay. For whatever reason, they come out here and they're playing cover 2 and they're 2 over 1, they're bracketing that guy. The quarterback can tap his hip here and pistol and come over here and read this outside linebacker and just have 2 stop routes out there. So he's responsible for both sides. One takes the single receiver side takes precedence. Got to handle that one first. All right, so we'll give you a couple clips of this. Again, aggressive mindset. I'm reading this boundary safety. He doesn't do a lot of movement, but he does enough in our talk package. We want to be aggressive and get that ball thrown. And again, you see this, the guy is the corner. His outside foot is not across ours. We think we can win. All right, hit that thing. His angle is dependent on the corner and the safety. Okay, so like if this corner was to be a little bit more over top, or if we beat him, he's in trail, I need to be ready to flatten it off. If he's high and outside like this, take the touchdown angle and let's go score. It's pretty good of our O-line right there, getting down in the mix. Again, this would be the point. That makes him 2 back. And actually, this other safety, he would be first passed. All right. And just part of the run right there, we really like this insert because we feel like, and this guy's not doing a great job of it, but he's got to spill that if I'm getting spilled and I'm making that safety or number 7 responsible for internal gaps, for the spill and the internal gaps, you're going to get some bigger movement. So we really like the ISO, the zone ISO, to get this safety really moving. And same thing to the nickel. Okay, so same look. We feel like we can win inside. His outside foot's not cross mine. Let's get our glance. That safety's a little bit higher, so let's be flat. And again, this is another look where the safety's going away, number 7's going away, aggressive throw, where if we just had the access package right here, I'm pretty sure this ball gets handed off. But again, we're treating that mindset as we roll. All right, we'll skip through some of these since we're getting tight. Again, you see this guy down here, he's what we would consider pressed. His outside foot is outside my inside foot. I'm still got to win inside and run the glance. May have to be a little bit flatter knowing that he's trailing me. Here's one off of this gap scheme. Yeah, this will be one off power. Again, we got to have certain looks back here where we know we're not getting run through, blitz, or we've got a 4-eye just to make sure that we're not getting our quarterback killed. But if you can get it off, that gap scheme is pretty good because we've made an internal gap. He's misfitting, but he's got to get himself down in there. Let's get to some other looks. That's a good practice look. So again, out of formations, we can do it out of 11, 12. We try not to do it as much out of 10. If we did 10, again, it has to be a single, so we get into some trips. So for running power, here's the point. We got this extra guy backside for the hinge. Him first passed. Obviously, he's already in the box right there, so this is pretty easy read for him. Unless he goes hauling ass, we're throwing it. That corner's high, and I can get inside, be flat because he stays over top. And then we get the go look. If the outside foot crosses my inside foot, and I don't have that access that we defined earlier, this is our best look for a goal. Hold the line, let the quarterback throw to the sideline. This is, again, we will activate that back. Well, not activate. We will think back shoulder if we don't win after that first 5. All right, so again, you get here to the top. We like this a lot, putting the single to the field and giving him that space. He's come down here on us. His outside foot is inside of ours. We're going to hold our line vertical and let the quarterback throw us to the sideline. Again, it's not as high percentage as you want, but it's as high percentage as it's going to get for a fade with having all that sideline against the right look. All right, same thing right here. His outside foot gets our inside foot. Work that release. It's a good look of this should be a back shoulder. I don't win in that first 5. He's man turned. He's on top. My eye should go to the quarterback immediately, and that ball should be coming right there on my back. All right, again, we're getting him. His outside foot's all the way inside ours. Let's hit the go, fade the sideline. And it's not the highest percentage, but it's the best look. All right, we get the same look where he's taking away our inside leverage, but he gives us that access to run the out. We'll run the out, okay? It started out, we have these clips are going to be 4 steps. We progressed it just for timing purposes in our quarterback's arms. We're going to push it to 6 steps on the speed cutout because, again, we want to be able to catch it and run. We felt like he was waiting. Like you'll see right here, good chance to see him waiting right there. You get a lot of 1-high teams that want to play a cover 3. We love this because it gets a really, defined number 7, putting that guy in a bind. If he wants to play back here and they've got no support or edge, run there all day. If he wants to get down there, RPO him. We got his outside foot's inside of our inside foot, but I've got some access. We're going to run to the outs. Again, we'll deepen that up because we don't want that to happen. Same look, we're in the middle of the field. Probably needs to cut a split just a hair. We're trying to be right in the middle of the logo right there. But he's off and inside. Just take the free money. Again, we want to deepen it up so we're not catching that thing and running right out of bounds. Just another look at it. Let me make sure I hit the other stuff. I got a lot of those. These are gives. You guys don't want to see runs anyways, do you?
Hey, Coach, while you're going through that, I do have a question. Do you have just regular give tags or give calls?
We have to tag give. So, like, if we call 23 boss, call it give. We're going to go through the whole process and everything like that, and then the quarterback's got to give it. Looks like he didn't put that on there. All right, so, and I'll just kind of talk you through this one. We have our, how do I get to this? What we're doing now is kind of putting the whole thing together, and we have what's called activate. Okay, activate is call it and talk together. So if we go back to that one slide at the beginning, if I can get to it, where we're talking about number 7. Okay. On activate, and again, we will just do this from the pistol. Everybody's running stops. So this is basically like we're running split zone stops, okay? He's got this to treat as an access. So if he comes out and gets this picture, he's probably not going to do anything. We're going to read it out, maybe throw a hitch, throw an access, but hand the ball off. All right. If he gets to this look where he says, all right, this guy's a problem now. I want to read him. And not only do I want to read him, but I want to make sure I get the right route. He's going to turn these guys on. He's going to do what we call, he's going to activate them. All right. When he activates them, it just goes back to call it. So they're going to now have call it off this surface. All right. If he gets this same look now where the corner's the problem, I got to read this guy, and he's more of an issue than this safety. I can turn down here and thumbs up this guy and then activate him. And he's going to call his route based off of what he's seeing. Okay. Now, in that same token, and activate, if we get this look where both number 7s are a problem, we don't want to just say, screw it, hand the ball off into it, or give him no options, or give him too many options. So at this point, if we've got 8-man box, we can tag on it a kill, where if we kill it, we'll have a standard for the week. Say it's outside deep choice, is we will kill this against the 8-man box and turn it into straight slide pro or whatever pro we got for the week. And we're running our choice out here against, again, we got 8-man box against 6. We shouldn't be running it anyways. Let's not waste a play. Let's not be behind to play. They're telling us right now it's one-on-one. Let's take our shot. So again, that's just part of the activate package. Is he picks which number 7 is most dangerous. And let's make sure we've got enough options to give him against those looks. He'll turn that route on. If you can't, if both number 7s are dangerous, and we've got this 8-man box right here, hey, let's not bang our head against the wall. They're telling us where to go with it. Let's get outside. Okay. And like, if you happen to see this game, it's on YouTube, ESPN. If you go back and watch it, this is how they play, man. They ain't gonna let you run it. Now, we threw for about 360 or 70, just throwing deep choice out there. So we're going to take what they give us as best we can. But that's kind of putting them all together, and that's all the second level stuff. So if we're going out there and we're wanting the RPO second level, these are the options that we have. We the access package, call it, talk, and then activate is kind of all of it together and giving him some true options of what he wants to do with the football and making us right. Anybody got any on that one? All right, I'll kind of go to our run guide right there because I know you talked just a little bit on that 3-4 and 3-3 and Bayer. We do more of this right here than we do of picking the RPOs because, like I said, the RPOs are pretty much set. Like, those are the looks we're going to get. Rotation to us, away from us, quarters, cloud, or man. Like, that's pretty much it that you can do out there 3/2. So those are pretty set. Those are going to stay the same. Now we're just packaging our runs. And we have more of these runs based off of, like I said, if the backside DM, we're running split zone, he can't be, or if he can be kicked, let's kick him. If he's squeezing too hard, let's read him or let's lock him. If we're getting mesh charge, kind of the same thing. Let's split flow him or let's lock him. If we're getting 4 eyes, that's going to tell us, do we need to get to arc release that guy, or do we need to go ahead and go duo? And then squeezing hard, get to our boots. This kind of will tell us in the runs what runs we need based off of what front we're seeing. Knowing that the whole purpose of this is we want to run 6-on-6 and we want to throw 1-on-1. Okay, so we don't design runs to where we can account for the safety, or at least not in these inside runs with RPOs. Like, we're not trying to pick up the safeties or crack the guy or none of that. We're going to always handle that guy with the quarterback and read him. So we treat our runs of 6-on-6. What can they do to give us problems 6-on-6? All right. So deep backside deep tackles, vertical, we're going to wham him, run at him. If we're getting movement, we're going to track or split flow it. And that could lead us into going into an outside zone. How the linebackers are fitting will tell us a lot of deals. Will also tell us, like, if those guys are cross-fitting. So, like, if my center's always pushing, if the center works to me, I'm going to go backside A. My backside linebacker's taking frontside A. They're making kind of a post-snap cross A gap right there. Well, or if they're working it off the back and they're split flowing it off there, if they're slicing it off the back, let's go same side. We scored a touchdown in the bowl game on that one. So these are kind of the things we're looking at to package the run, not necessarily the routes and the RPO. We feel like we've got base answers to handle what we need to handle. And we get in the gap scheme. The first thing we're going to talk about is getting it kicked. If we can get it kicked, all right, we're going to put the running back on the same side so he can see A gap. We're telling him we're going to get that ball in A gap. If it's getting spilled and we can't get it kicked, we're going to put him backside. So that way we're saying, if we tell him, power right, he's lined up on the left, we're telling him it's going to get spilled. We're going to have him with his eyes on that end so he can see the spill happen, so that jump cut happens a little bit quicker. He can stay in phase with the guard. So it starts with that kicker log of where we put the back. Now, if we're in pistol, we don't really care because he's going straight downhill and he can kind of see it happening. And then these are kind of our accounts for if we're getting a +1, when we want a motion 2, motion away. There's some different RPOs when we get into the motion stuff. And we want to get to where we need to, get to our RPO stuff. A lot of the same thing, or wrong way run. And you talked about the 3 down. We don't necessarily talk about 3 down. It's not as big of an issue. If we see 3-3, we love it. man, we're going to attack the crap out of it. And feel like we're going to get some push, and our center's always going to get some help on that nose. The whole playbook. We'll run 3-3 the whole playbook. And if we start getting some bear, and really we treat more bear like anytime that the tackle has a technique inside of him, a 3 or a 4-eye, that's going to start leading us to more gap schemes. All right, where we're going to get to more duo, power counter. We can handle now that backside hinge. So now we can start getting some more gap scheme RPOs in there. And again, this is pretty, like if we get a 9, we're gonna think about kicking him. If we get a 6, we're gonna think about logging him. If we're getting a 5 or a 7 technique, then we're gonna go back to the Y off stuff. So we're building the runs this way. The RPOs not as much. Like they're pretty well answered. We're making sure in our system of RPOs and the routes that we've got the high percentage routes at the right time. That's our big push is we don't want to change week to week. We want to get really good at throwing crews and bubbles and throwing the glances and things like that. And we found that as long as we're calling them at the right time, we're pretty damn good at it because we're not trying to cross against bad leverage or catch the ball and be bang, bang against that safety on the crews and things like that. So we're trying to stay ahead and not, man, I wish we'd have called that. We're trying to make sure we don't have that happen. So we spend a lot more time on looks than we do different routes and adding things to the package. I kind of got there going quick at the end. I don't know if I got everything he was looking for or if anybody's got questions.
That's good stuff, Coach. I mean, I know I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you that I got a lot tonight.
Anybody, like I said, any of this stuff, the video, I don't have any idea how to share, but I can try. I can get to the guy and he'll tell me how to do it. Any of these Excel spreadsheets, call sheet type setup. I'm on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I follow everybody back. And if you need something, hit me, and I will get you whatever I can get you in resources. I think this is awesome. COVID sucked. The only good thing from it was I got a lot better from stuff like this myself, and so learning football from the beginning, we didn't have this stuff. And, I wasn't a GA at Florida State or anything like that. So this is how I learned it. So I think this is awesome. So anybody that ever wants anything from me, you got it.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for, I know you and I have been kind of going back and forth and trying to find time and everything. And I appreciate you taking the time out tonight and spending some time with us and sharing what you do. And again, for all of you who have not gotten on CoachTube, him and Coach Ratton have a great CoachTube series out there right now. I highly recommend. And also, as Coach said, follow him on Twitter. He's at Alcorn _Coach JP. Mm-hmm. And Coach and I have been talking for a part of a month, and one of the genuine good guys, good in this profession. Appreciate him coming on. And Coach, again, I wish y'all all the best starting back into spring. I hope everyone stays healthy and you guys get to play in the fall.
Yes, sir. We really appreciate it. And again, anytime, I know we're out of the way, but if anybody wants to show up, just let me know, and we'd love to have you at practice or anything you want, sit in meetings, you name it. So just hit me up. I really appreciate you letting me come on, and enjoyed it, and love your YouTube channel, and I check it out, especially on Sundays when the kids are halfway calm.
Well, I appreciate that plug, Coach. I really do, and look forward to talking to you down the road here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Coach.
Yes, sir.